Maharaj started his doctoral studies at Northwestern University, but his advisor, Professor Donald Campbell, suggested that if he was really interested in psychology, then he should head east. Following these instructions, he eventually met Srila Srila Prabhupada, took first and second initiation, and then sannyas from His Holiness Bhakti Swarup Damodar Swami. With Maharaj, he worked in the areas of preaching Bhagavata philosophy through science and the Vedas. He has continued preaching in this area as well as other cultural areas. He formed the North American Institute for Oriental and Classical Studies in 2004. Maharaj has been aggressively preaching around the globe and taking the Prabhupada's mission forward. So we are blessed that we are able to hear nectar of instruction from Maharaj. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for your association. Over to you. Hare Krishna.
Well, it says that we founded the North American Institute in 2004, but I was just one of 3 people, and I'm probably both here right now. Can you hear? Oh, wait, can you hear us?
Maharaj, the voice is little feeble. If you come closer to the mic, it would be much more clearer.
Well, the microphone's on my head.
Your voice is low a little bit, like whatever is the mic piece, if you can bring it closer.
Yeah, I can't. The microphone's on my head here. Let me try something else. Okay. Okay, Vaishnava Thakur. Well, maybe. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Can you hear us any better now? Hello, hello.
Yes, Maharaj, it's quite clear. Yes.
Okay.
Much better.
Okay. So again, with Nitya Gaur Sundar Das and Tandavika Das, well, the 3 of us formed NEOS. I think they're here right now. So let us look at our PowerPoint show here. And something we want to look at. And thank the Partha-Sarthi Foundation for organizing these programs and giving us a chance of your association. What we have here is Nectar of Instruction, Partha-Sarthi Foundation, Manjasura Academy, in July 18th. And there's Rupa Goswami Samadhi, who of course composed it. And then we have the commentary of Bhakti Siddhanta and the impetus of Bhakti Siddhanta, who sends Srila Prabhupada all over the world as his empowered representative. So then, of course, there's a song, I think it's from Sharanagati, O He Vaishnava Thakur, which Bhakti Vinod Thakur gives a very nice look at the Upadeshamrita. And can you see it now?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. So let's go ahead. I'll lead and everybody can follow with the microphone closed or as you wish. Oh, hey, Vaishnava Thakura, Moyar Sagar, Edase Koruna. Oh, hey, Vaishnava Adachaya, Shodoheya Maya, Kumara Charana. Jaya Bega Domi, Jaya Dosha Shodi, Jaya Guna De Hoda Se. Payasata Sangha, Deho Heyamare, Bosechi Sangyera She. Payasata
Sangha,
Ekaki Amara, Ahipaya Bala, Harinama Sang, Kripa Kori, Sadhubendu Diya, Deho Krishna Namadam.
Tomi Krupa Kori Shraddha Bondu Diya Deho Krishna Nama
Krishna se tomar, Krishna dite paro, Tomara Shwakati Ache.
Se Tomara Krishna Diparo Tomare
Amito Kangala, Krishna Krishna Boli, Daitava Pache Pache.
Amito Kankala Krishna
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 Boli,
O venerable Vaishnava, O ocean of mercy. Okay. Be merciful unto your servant. Give me the shade of your lotus feet and purify me. I hold onto your lotus feet. Teach me to control my 6 passions, rectify my 6 faults, bestow upon me the 6 good qualities, and offer unto me the 6 kinds of holy association. Of course, these are text number 1, 2, that's number 1. And then, of course, it starts talking about 6 things that will make it easy to control the person, 6 things that will make it difficult, and then how to 6 signs of association, and then how to apply that with different levels of devotees, especially with an avatar. Then 7 and 8 starts talking about this Hare Krishna. But he says, I do not find the strength to carry along alone the Sankirtan of the holy name of Hari. Please bless me by giving me just 1 drop of faith, Sadhu Bindudiya, who wish to obtain the great treasure of the holy name of Krishna. So even though the process is made so simple by Lord Chaitanya, without his representative giving us the mercy, then we can't even chant Hare Krishna. Krishna is yours. You have the power to give him to everyone. I am simply running behind your servant, running behind you, shouting Krishna, Krishna. So, oh, hey, Vaishnava Thakur, the Prabhupada you die. Other than that, pretty much we're just basically clowns trying to stay in the field and not cause problems with the Prabhupada. Okay, with that perspective on this wonderful little booklet, today we're on text number 3. Of course, I'm doing this every 2 weeks, and then Srimad Krishnadas is doing the other Tuesday. And we're in good correspondence. For us, it's very nice because we're learning how to develop, producing a seminar together. Of course, also, we'll be leaving before he does. Hopefully, he can go on developing his seminar abilities. So, please repeat. Utsaham Nischaya Darya.
Utsaham Nischaya Darya.
Tatat Karma Pravartana.
Tatat Karma Pravartana.
Sangatyagat Seto Vrite.
Sangatyagat Seto Vrite.
Chadir Bhakti Prasiddhati.
Chadir Bhakti Prasiddhati.
That's the last part of it. One more time. Utsahan Nishchaya Daryat
Darya
Tata Karma Pravartanas
Karma Pravartanam
Sangatyaga Sato Vritahe
Satovritte
Shadbir Bhaktir Prasidyate.
Sadbir Bhakti Prasidyate.
So again, Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, trying to control these different pushes. And here are 6 things that will make it very easy. There are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. Number 1, utsahan, being enthusiastic. Number 2, endeavoring with confidence, nishayad. Number 3, being patient, varyat. Number 4, acting according to the regulative principles. And here we usually think many times the 4 regulative principles. So here is the regulative principles that Rupa Goswami gives in Nectar of Devotion, 64 of these. So acting according to the principles of our yoga process, which he especially identifies as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna. The 5, Sangha Tyagat, abandoning the association of non-devotees. And number 6, following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas, Sato Vritte. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. So we haven't got to worry about a lot of things. We should take these to heart. And so we learn them by heart. We apply them. And of course, in so many other places, these are the same things presented, maybe, a little bit different perspective or angle on them. But this is the fundamental principle of the positive ambience that we need to control the 6 senses, to control our pushes. And then we can become qualified to be the gurus wherever we go, wherever we need to become purified. So of course now in the purport, probably gives very, very nice elucidation of what this means. And as we heard, Srila Krishnadas says you got through Utsahan Nishchayad Varyat. And now we're on Sangha Tyagat. Okay, there's a little bit of a summary of what we went through the last previous verses. It probably starts off by talking about pure devotional service, because that's what this verse is going to do. It guarantees the success of pure devotional service. And of course, you can read that. There's many things there. But central to it is this verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And again, Upadeshamrita is just a summary of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is a complete science. And it's very, very easy to memorize the verse number. 1, 1, 1, 1. 1 means that it's the eastern side, eastern, southern, western, northern, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 means that it's the first wave of the Eastern Ocean. And there's things like 4 waves or 5 waves. And so, of course, the first wave is the perspective, the attitude, the whole summary. And 11 means it's text number 11. The text before that, of course, are invocations, offering obeisances to acharyas. And finally, in this verse, he summarizes everything. And of course, it's an entire day's class, at least, just to talk about this one verse. And you'll find it again and again and again and again. And one very, very prominent Gaudiya sannyasi, critical of ISKCON, he was challenging some of Prabhupada's disciples, and he said, you don't even know the definition of bhakti. And he quoted this verse. And he said, my goodness, you do know. Yeah. So this verse is one of the maybe 50 verses you want to memorize in your life. And all you have to do is work on it a little bit. And then whenever you see Prabhupada paraphrasing it or using parts of it or using the whole thing, just take the time to chant it again, refresh it. Maybe you have to look it up again. Anyabilasita shunyam gyana karmadi navritam anapoyena Krishna nushuranam bhakti. So we hope that Srinath Krishnadas discovered this stuff. Yes. Okay. Then Prabhupada says in that section there, bhakti is the start of the cultivation. Oh yeah, that's right there in the text. Shilanam. The learn Sanskrit.cc. If you look at Shilana, it says repeated practice. A very, very short word. Shilanam. Shilanam. Okay. Krishnanu Shilanam. And in the Prabhupada's purport, it says it's an activity, it's a work. We have to cultivate it. Maybe we're given the seed, but yeah, we have to do the practices and cultivate it like that. This is bhakti, a sort of cultivation. And then we're going to head to Utsahan, action executed with intelligence in Krishna consciousness is called enthusiasm. So there's a basic summary. Endeavor, Shilanam, executed with intelligence in Krishna consciousness is called Utsaha. Interesting, because many times we think enthusiasm just means bodily energy and carrying on. But Prabhupada calls it again and again a science, the complete science of Bhakti Yoga. Of course, the more and more we're fixed in this science, we understand all we have to do is just chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yeah. But until falling down from that, it's good to have a very, very developed intelligence, intelligence that will then orient us properly to go on chanting more, to become more purified, more convinced. So finally, we're just always engaged in Krishna Kirtan. Of course, Srimad Bhagavatam is also, Krishna Kirtan. But Mahamantras, especially Mahamantras. So here we have Albert Einstein, who's very famous for his intelligence. But now we see he has Krishna consciousness, Krishna conscious intelligence. So we hope we're showing you about Srimad Krishna covered this night. Okay. And then within that section, first off, I thought it was kind of an external verse or something like that. And then I began to realize it's one of the most principal verses in all of our philosophy and culture. And these should be memorized. Basically, you can memorize all the verses that are cited in the Pradesh and Rita. You'll have all the principal verses that we use. So close your eyes and try and chant. Maya tatam nidam sarvam jagat adhyata mortena Matstani Sarvabhutanam Kesham Nachaham Keshavasitaha Maya Tatam Nidam Sarvam Jagadaryata Mortena Matstani Sarvabhutanam Nachaham Keshavasitaha. I have to break it into the right tonalities and stuff. By me in my unpervaded form, this entire world is pervaded in my unmanifest form. All living beings are in me, but I am not in them. This is the Chinta Veda Veda Tapa. Patiently, even Plasma Sarvashu Kavishu Ramana Samaran. There's another verse, almost like it's like 9/11 or something, it's almost identical. So Prabhupada uses this to point out that the tape recorder that he's using, the dictaphone, everything is part of Krishna's energies. Krishna says, Bhumir Atma Nalo Vayu. So we begin to actually scientifically and systematically appreciate this and develop our own logical organization. These facts, somebody may be a cook, and they develop it in terms of that. Somebody else may be a musician, they develop it in terms of that. And so it actually touches the soul. And we see then how everything can be used in Krishna's service. And since we see Krishna out there, he's a very, very interesting, cute, attractive child. Okay, so everything is actually has a very innocent, wonderful perspective to it. When the atom bombs go off, baby Krishna claps his hands and laughs. Okay. So then today we're coming to Utsahan, Chayad, Daryat, Tat Karma Pravartana. Following the Tat Karma Pravartana. So Utsahan, we covered Nishchaya, we covered Daryat, And now Tata Karma Pravartana, following the rules and regulations. It's a very, very nice picture of Prabhupada. Here is Prabhupada, very, very expert, scientist. He could be fabricating, synthesizing DNA or something. And his fingers looks like it's in the perfection movement. But yeah, you have to engage in the activities of devotional service, the science. You have to know them just like you know some scientific process for synthesizing different things. Tat karma, various activities favorable for devotional service. Pravartana, by performance. So again, the Prabhupada is going to give us a nice definition of this. And it's the same thing we've heard a million times before. In this Krishna consciousness movement, there are 4 basic regulatory principles forbidding illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and leave. In addition to these 4 prohibitions, yama, there are also positive regulatory principles, niyama, such as daily 16 rounds on Japamala beads. A devotee must be very enthusiastic, about following these principles. If he becomes slack in following any of them, his progress will certainly be checked. We have to understand what are the priorities. We have to get them organized, and we see this. They go through a day and we're doing pretty well, and we don't get one aspect in line there, and 30% of our success gets damaged because we didn't get that thing in line. Okay, no evening program. And so the next day we learn, we get it better, and we start building our machine, and Prabhupada keeps protecting us and allow us to come back again. And so we become very expert. We become expert. As expert as anybody in any activity in the material world. That's precise. And understanding how to do Vayu Bhakti, karma pravartana. And of course, the basic thing is chant 16 enthusiastic rounds and follow the 4 principles strictly. With enthusiasm. Does that mean it's passion, energy? No. It means intelligence, the idea of the goal. Utsahan nishchayadvaya tatta karma pravartana sangha tyaga. That's very simple. Giving up hanging out with the dudes. Sangha tyaga satovate. Once Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asked by one of his household devotees. Now, if you have our Tavapache, we've identified this as Satya Raja Khan, and it's a very, very nice little dialogue between him and Lord Chaitanya, who was a resident ground or something. But it puts it in proportion. It's so much easier to memorize verses if you know who's talking to who, what the circumstances, the context. And then the verse, of course, and the meaning is there. The perspective, attitude, why it works. And the motivation is there, and then the content is easy. Once Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked one of his household devotees, Satya Raja Khan, about the general principles of Vaishnavism, as well as the general routine activities of the Vaishnava. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately replied, Asat Sangha Tyaga, a Vaishnava child. And there it is. We associate for hours for everybody today for making money, for eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. We associate in our recreation, with different kinds of people, movies, books, video games, so many things. People pack full of this in the most simple conditions. People will be singing or doing things or hearing stories or talking about things, telling legends. So that's it. The whole thing you'll see is basically Arjuna's whole problem was he didn't want to give up the association of his family members, his grandfather, his Sifu, his teacher, martial arts teacher. That was the problem. Yeah. And so Krishna showed him how that ultimately in the neophyte stage, in the beginning stage, we have to be careful to just avoid these things. But as we become purified, then automatically we associate with people in the proper fashion, no matter who they are. Narada Muni can associate with Magrari and everybody else, because he softened the perspective again, how everybody, was related to Krishna. And if somebody is supposed to be, die or something or different things like that, then he would help them along in that. So it could be useful and beneficial for them in their spiritual life and Krishna's development. So this is it, Sangha Tyaga, giving up the association of non-devotees. And in here, it's hidden behind the, you can't see it. Okay, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, somebody who's in our conference, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, has therefore recommended Tandera Charana Sevi Bhakti Sanivas. This is a Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. One of the, again, 50 verses we should know, maybe like 13 songs you should know. But this is one of the verses we cited again and again and again. It's a very nice song. Oh, Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Gopal Govindaram Srimad Sudam Yorari Gopinatha Namahan Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaishnava Dandavata Adita Shri Sanatan Bhakti Sarvas Shri Sanatan Shri Sanatan Bhakti Sarvas Shri Jiva Gopala Bhakti Echai Goshai Ram Uttaradas Kamsavhara Parayan Yudharam Paras Andavacharana Sevi Bhakti Sanivas Janamaya Meya Vilas. Okay, so he's recommended this. One has to live in the company of pure devotees. So Prabhupada says neophyte pure devotee is also pure devotee if he's, keeping the association of Uttamadhikaris. The Madhyamadhikari is definitely fixed in his practice and by some careful arrangements so we can associate with other Madhyamadhikaris and be very well situated. And to live in the company of pure devotees and execute the regulative principles laid down by the previous acharyas. So it's progressive. Tatta karma pravartana. Yeah, you giving up the bad association, but means getting good association. So how can we execute these things? Again, we can't execute them unless we belong to a community of Madhyamadhikaris, and then we're taking shelter in the association of Uttamadhikaris. And execute the regulative principles laid down by the previous acharyas, the 6 Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. If you notice, in the beginning when Prabhupada says 6 Goswamis in the preface, he also gives all their names. So he's giving us the proper medicine by reading this book. We must say the names of these Goswamis. And of course, when we say the names, they have potency. And right away, we're beginning to think, I want to know more about them. I want to understand. Because each of them had a particular contribution. Our life is so big. How many names do you know of people? Just like Benito Juarez, and Hojo, Yamamoto. You can just go on. Each of us must know hundreds and hundreds of names. And so you see some name, friends you have on your child, and so many things. So all of this has to be connected to Krishna, our whole subtle body, and getting rid of it, but connected to Krishna, the whole world eventually. Each of these 6 Goswamis is really a help for us. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness is opening many centers just to invite people to live in the company of devotees and practice the regulative principles of spiritual life. ISKCON, Prabhupada presents ISKCON many times in the text and gives very clear definition of what it is. ISKCON belongs to those people who want to serve the Prabhupada. Of course, there is an institution, and then there's a whole political structure. But that's just part of the political structure. If it's not based upon friendship, then it's just a hollow shell. And then if that friendship is not based upon all of us trying to serve to the Prabhupada, then it doesn't work. It's an institution. It's a community of friends, and it's Prabhupada's everything. The National Society for Krishna Consciousness, opening many centers. Of course, in the beginning, Prabhupada was opening temples, trying to start communities. So where are we at right now? We have to be participating in this. We have to, be opening centers. Of course, our house can be a center. Don't think of it as a private place for our private security or even sublimating independence in celestial circumstance. Opening Bhakti Riksha programs. And then buying houses near each other so we can start to associate within a short distance like that. And then again, starting actual rural development, suburban development. And it's so possible that to eventually buy an entire block and take out the fences in between the houses and have shared gardening. And very quickly, we should start thinking that way and actually developing, communities where everybody can live together. Of course, already so many exist in the United States. There's Houston, who was coming back from Richmond, and they're developing the same thing. People buying houses near each other, and eventually, as soon as possible, all this progress can actually be quite quick. Within 5 years, you can have so many, communities, villages within walking distance, just like Houston. There's an example. Houston itself has to develop more. Okay. In this Krishna consciousness movement, we require everyone to rise early in the morning by 4 a.m. This is again Tata Karma Pravartana, following engaged in the actual activities. Okay. Rise early in the morning by 4 a.m. Okay, and attend Mangala Arati or morning worship, and then read Srimad Bhagavatam, perform kirtan, and so forth. This is a requirement. It's not like an option or something. It's a requirement. So if you're chanting and following and this and that, but not doing this, you're not satisfying the requirements. So you can't criticize that your progress is not fast, or I can't criticize so many things. 4 a.m. Of course, Prabhupada explains that means doing Brahma Muhurta, 96 minutes until 48 minutes before sunrise. If you look in the Wikipedia for Muhurta, it's a nice article. It's pretty good. And get some more ideas about it. But there it is. We have to be up at that time and chanting. So you get up before, take your bath, take your deity worship. Okay, simple algo, whatever. But during 96 minutes until 48 minutes before Brahma Muhurta, we should be doing like anything. We could double, triple, sextuple credit for purifying all the nonsense that might entered into your brains and your intelligence. Establishing your perspective, your Buddha, your Bhava. And when you got that all worked out, it takes work. Then you can start the day when the mode of passion comes with a good perspective. And of course, then the finish is off. When the light comes up, you study Srimad Bhagavatam. There's so many ways to study, appreciate, associate with devotees and study Srimad Bhagavatam. Thus, we hold continuous activities of devotional service 24 hours daily. Here's a morning program. We'll be the worship of our Arti and Srimad Bhagavatam and Kirtan. Every morning, those who have to be there will be dying to life in the Krishna. This is called Satobate, and following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas who expertly filled every moment of time with Krishna conscious activities. Okay. And you have a very nice, but we heard the problem one time. The only excuse for not coming to Mangala Arati is an inability to fall. If there's something on the way to Mangala Arati. Okay. And now then it says, in this regard, to the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur remarks. So here is the, again, the Anuvritti. Prabhupada gives his perspective, then he kind of goes to this, he does like kind of almost word by word with the other Rippy. And he didn't include the works of other works like that. So, this kind of like he was going to be analyzing everything. Okay, and this is sufficient basic, what do you call it? Commentary on the tradition of Luther. But of course, there are things about the no talk. So a lot of remind us one. Okay, so let's go ahead here. Let's jump to Bhakti Siddhanta's content there. It should work. Hey, it works. Got a hyperlink. Okay. If one strictly follows the advice given in this verse by Srila Rupa Goswami, namely being enthusiastic, being confident, being patient, giving up the association of unwanted persons, following the regulatory principles, and remaining in the association of devotees, one is sure to advance in devotional service. In this regard, so the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati remarked that the cultivation of knowledge by philosophical speculation, maybe it's like this, it's like that, using algebra, arithmetic, calculus, okay. The collection of mundane opulences for the advancement of fruitive activities, and the desire for yoga siddhis, material perfections, are all contrary to the principles of devotional service. One has to become thoroughly callous to its non-permanent activities and turn his intention instead to the regular principles of devotional service. To my mind, most of what Bhakti Siddhanta is focusing on here is this chayana, this determination, this confidence in devotional service, expecting that devotional service is going to work, rather than keeping a return ticket to our material resources. No, not fanaticism. Okay. According to Bhagavad Gita 269, okay. Yanisha sababhutanam kashyam jagrati samyami yashyam jagrati bhutanam bhutani sanisha pasheto munahe. What is night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self-control. The time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective saved. Engagement in devotional service is the life and soul of a living entity. It is the desired goal and supreme perfection of human life. One has to become confident. Nishchayad. One has to become confident about this, and one has to be confident that all activities other than devotional service, such as mental speculation, truly work, and mystic endeavor, will never yield any enduring benefit. Complete confidence in the path of devotional service will enable one to attain his desired goal. But attempting to follow other paths will only succeed in making one restless. The 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated. Before it said 7th canto, and that was a mistake, and it's just about the only mistake in the entire book, English. So rather than put any footnote or anything else, we just changed it. It's just, out of Ricky says that, the actual verses are there, okay. And this is all it is. This is Paraton Vedas personified. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated, one must be calmly convinced that those who have given up devotional service to engage in severe austerities, for other purposes, are not purified in their minds, despite their advanced austerities, because they have no information of the transcendental, loving service of the Lord, which is the surface. It is further stated in the 10th canto. All the mental speculators and fruity actors, they perform great austerities and penances, they still fall down because they do not have information about the lotus feet of the Lord. End quote. The devotees of the Lord, however, never fall down. In Bhagavad Gita 9:31, the Supreme Personality of Sri Arjuna, Kaunteya pratijanahi name bhakta paranachati. One of the 50 verses or something that are essential. And it's just this one phrase out of the verse, one pada. O son of the Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. We should know these verses, we should read the purport, we should understand them and richly. Okay, continuing on, 240. Dehami kramo nashosti pratyavayana vidyate swapamapi yashadharmasya prayate mahaprabhaya. Lies closed. In this endeavor, Buddha Yoga, there is no loss or diminution. And little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. But what is that fear? That whatever I'm developing in Krishna consciousness, I'll lose. Whatever good qualities and you should help me to keep my service steady. Whatever even technical abilities I'm developing in terms of music, or art, or drama, yeah, they're not going to be lost. That's our big fear, the death, losing our life and our possessions. Devotional service is so pure and perfect that once having begun, one is forcibly dragged to ultimate success. Life road. And that's basically when, is initiation. And really when the level of second initiation, when you actually, in mode of goodness and everything else, you make this decision. Now you made a choice, nobody forced you, and you did it. Okay. And so Krishna accepts that. And he'll help protect that determination, and more or less forcibly drag you on. Yes. Sometimes a person will give up ordinary material engagements out of sentiment, taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Chakvas Vadharman Charanam Harir, Bujan Harir, Pajana Pakota, Patayadi, Abakwadam Hadram Abula Nuchikim. I can't remember all of it, but I'm trying to refresh it. It's a paraphrase, and you begin to recognize Prabhupada's not just inventing all this, he's just putting the verses in here, the basic things from different perspectives. Mother cooks the same basic things for her children again and again in different ways, because those are what's necessary for health and growth. Even if such an immature devotee falls down, there is no loss on his part. On the other hand, what is the gain? The one who executes prescribed duties according to his varna and ashram, but does not take to devotional service. Although a fallen devotee may take his birth in a low family, his devotional service will nonetheless resume from where it left off. Devotional service is the hoitatiya pratihata. What is that verse? It is not the effect of any mundane cause, nor can it be terminated by any mundane cause or current material, but permanently continued by any material interruption. Yeah, but if you make some offensive activity out of your own free will, okay. Therefore, a devotee should be confident nishchaya about his engagement. He should not be very interested in the activities of karma, jnana, and yoga. There are certainly many good qualities among fruity actors, philosophical speculators, and mystic yogis. But all good qualities automatically develop in the character of a devotee. And of course, you know what verse is coming right away. I was paraphrasing it. No extraneous endeavor is needed. Srimad Bhagavatam 5:18. All good qualities of demigods manifest progressively in one who has developed pure devotional service. Because a devotee is not interested in any material activity, he does not become materially contaminated. He is immediately situated on the platform of transcendental life. However, one who engages in mundane activity, jnana yoga, philanthropist, nationalist, whatever, cannot become a Mahatma. Now we have again, Mahatma is 2 man partha. All the devotees of the Lord are under the protection of a supreme potency. They should not deviate from the path of devotional service and take to karma, jnana, or yoga. This is called Utsahan Nishchayad Daryat Tat Tat Karma Pravartana. Enthusiastically executing the regulative principles of devotional service with patience and confidence. In this way, one can advance in devotional service without hindrance. So, lessons of Bhaktivedanta purports to Shiva Vaishnava. And devotees are suggesting, I was writing to Prahlad in our blog, that the database.io, because when you open it up, it gives the verse numbers are not all connected. It's the same amount of the Bhagavan. But the whole thing should be done just like one chapter. Srimad Bhagavatam, we made to go to one chapter, and it opens up all 30 verses or whatever it is, and they're all there, and you can search the page at the same time. You can use the advanced view feature for the whole thing. So he's thinking, yeah, he's saying it can be done, and to do it easily, it take a little bit longer. But then we'll have the whole book accessible for us, the modern tools at one time. So any questions or comments? Koi prashna hai? Go to Gopinath, smiles and smiles and doesn't say anything.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Very nice presentation on the third verse of Nectar of Instruction, your favorite book. So, yes, Maharaj, I will request if some have some questions, we can take questions or comments or any reflection. Someone have? Please raise your hand.
Om Namo Bhagavate.
Mika, can you unmute yourself?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you very much for the awesome class on Nectar of Instruction, third verse. So Maharaj, I have a quick question.
Volume is way too low. I can hear hardly low, okay.
Is it good now, Maharaj? Is
Yeah.
it good now?
Mika, your voice is low.
Is it good now, Prabhuji?
A little better. Pretend you're talking into a 1965 Indian telephone.
Maharaj, is it good now?
I can hear it just barely. It's okay. I'll listen to my speakers.
Okay, Maharaj, my question is that you said like we should chant the 16 rounds daily on Japamala beads. So like for example, like for me it's school, so like I don't even get to 16, but like however I do, like we don't really get to do it completely on rounds like on the beads and like sit in one place, like it's like on and off. So does that still count in the 16 rounds that you said? Or would that be like extra?
I remember Mahamiri Swami said one time in the past, the person, you know, he knows when that you're not trying to cheat him, you know, and you're in a certain circumstance and these things are happening, you know. And so that's the main thing, a person sincere, but there's the standard. It's so nice. The Prabhupada makes a standard. We should do a minimum of 16 rounds, 1,728 mantras on beads. Okay. Yeah. And then some devotees I know, of course, they're chanting when they're in the public transportation, going to work, and they use a sequential event clicker, sequential event counter. Jambavan, one devotee, mechanic, he broke a Tulsi bead in half, and then he epoxied it to the top of his clicker, so he was chanting on a Tulsi bead. So that's the basic standard: 16 enthusiastic rounds a day. And what's the word? It'll be quoted somewhere. Ashvish be Raksha be Krishna. Ashvish be Raksha be Krishna. Krishna has given me this service, so any master, any company is going to support us in doing it. So usually we should suspect that it's not a matter of, of a permanent reality, but it's a matter of our inability to set our priorities properly, and we're learning, and so we're just immature. But if we learn, then we'll understand how to get 16 rounds done nicely, Bhaktivinoda Thakur probably said he used to chant 4 rounds after he died. There's 4 more rounds we have done before we touch breakfast. And of course, in India, the day starts a little later. And we do 4 more rounds during the day. So you can find some time, okay, here's some time for this and that, and you know. And then before he went to bed, he would always finish the last 4. And he said in that way, you know, it wasn't a burden. But he recommends sannyasi or Goswamini, you know, who can get up early and everything else. Yeah, the best time is to chant for 16 rounds before Mangalati. So different people are in different situations, but Prabhupada sets is basic standard, not 64, not 32. But, so yeah, the work on it, and Krishna's taking account of you in your 5 stage, you know. But as initiated devotees, that's what, you know, we should be doing, and if not, we should get back to that standard. Okay, does that help?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
So, if anybody have any question, please raise your hand. Hare Bol. Haila Prabhuji.
Yes, I don't see any questions so far. Nobody has raised.
Okay. So, if you allow, so should we wind up our call here, or anything Maharaj has to say in the end? So, please go ahead, Maharajji.
Good.
Last word for our audience.
Yeah, that these words are entering the ears, they're entering the brain, they're very pleasing to the ear, they're very pleasing to the brain, but after
Yes.
they're touching the heart. And we may not notice that, but our heart is changing our attitude, our perspective, and so we're getting very deep, long-lasting change by attending these classes. And then we start to develop our own logic and put it together and know, you know, wherever we go, whoever we meet, we can tell them about this stuff. So, thank you all. What's going to happen next week? I will present next week because Srinath Krishnadas is going to go to New Vrindavan, and I'm not sure they'll be on. So we're
Okay.
going to change. I'll present next week also.
Okay, that would be nice, madam. So
That's
nice.
before.
Thank you so much. Yes. And His Holiness Hanumant Preksha Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Pancha kalpa
Dhanyavad.
Krishna
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः वैष्णवेन
Hare
जय
Bol.
श्री प्रभुपाद की जय हरे
Everybody so good, Maharaj. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा थैंक यू सो मच प्रभु जी हरि हरि बोल हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा
Hare Krishna.